2025 is the summer of tight end trade rumors, and the latest name up is Atlanta's Kyle Pitts. Kyle Krabs with A to Z Sports, and last week brought two Pro Bowl tight ends into the spotlight as potential trade targets for teams across the league. First up was Jonnu Smith of the Miami Dolphins, who was tied to trade negotiations with the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday. That move would reunite Jonnu Smith with his former coach, Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator now in Pittsburgh. But Arthur Smith's other star tight end, Kyle Pitts, came up on Friday as a player that teams might be able to tap into and acquire if they were willing to part with a day 2 pick in compensation. That report came courtesy of Jordan Schultz, and with the calendar now turning to June, it's a good time to look and see who has the cap space to potentially onboard Kyle Pitts' fifth-year option, which is a fully guaranteed $10.878 million for 2025. Now, if you're willing to part with a day 2 pick to bring Pitts into the picture, you may want to consider a long-term deal as well. So that might knock down teams that have the cap space, but recently drafted a tight end of their own, like the New York Jets, who are in the top 5 in current salary cap space. Or perhaps you have a star tight end at the position that you just renegotiated a market reset contract to, like the San Francisco 49ers. But when you look at the teams in the top 10 of available cap space, Pittsburgh is one of the teams that could make some sense for Kyle Pitts. Now, they were only associated and affiliated with Jonnu Smith, but they have an extra third-round draft pick courtesy of the trade of George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. They're in the top 10 in salary cap space, so they could very easily onboard that additional salary cap commitment for Pitts. But they have Pratt Freiermuth under contract on a long-term deal, and this team is still playing the waiting game to try to land Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. The low-hanging fruit, however, is northeast of Pittsburgh. It's the New England Patriots, who have been desperate to land upgrades at pass catcher for their young quarterback, Drake May. They made overtures to Chris Godwin, reportedly willing to pay him significantly more than what he took to stay in Tampa Bay. And they're paying Stephon Diggs, who has already found himself in a little bit of hot water for off-the-field behavior in the past week. The Patriots do have Hunter Henry on a contract with the team, but the Patriots have $65+ million in cap space. They have each of their own picks in the first, second, and third round of next year's NFL draft, but they also have 2 fourth-round picks courtesy of a draft day trade, which could give them a little bit of wiggle room if they wanted to make the splash. There's a completely separate conversation about the kind of scheme, fit, usage, and role for Kyle Pitts that any team that looks to not only acquire him, but pay him a long-term contract to justify the draft pick would need to be able to provide. Of all the teams that could possibly make the splash, the Patriots have the right mix of urgency, looking at having Drake May on a rookie contract and trying to close the gap with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East, cap space, surplus draft capital, and the coach who has the experience with working with flex tight ends and inline players who maybe are better pass catchers than they are receivers. The question is, how motivated are the Patriots to make that kind of splash play happen? If it's anybody, I'd be willing to bet the Patriots would be at the top of the list.